Okay, in this video I'm going to go over how to get started with your assembly for the chassis. What I've done is I've created an assembly and I've placed in two of the side rails. I've, or the side tubes is what I've named them, the front and the rear C channel, and then I put in four of these corner gussets. The first thing that you should do is ground one of the pieces. I'm just going to click on this and ground this side tube. To do that, you right click and go grounded, and then it won't move anymore. And then what we're going to do is constrain all the other pieces to this piece or to another constrained piece. One thing that I did talk about in class is that these holes are for the bearings and the axles, and the wheels will be attached on the chassis, and the center hole is lower than the side holes. We need to make sure that the piece is upright, with that we know which side is the top and which side is the bottom, so we don't get one of the side rails flipped upside down relative to the other one. An easy way to check that is if you look at the side and then measure the distance from the top to the center hole. Sometimes you can visually check as well. One easy way to look at a specific face is just click here, and then you can click the face that you want to look at. Let me move the other one out of the way. So I can visually tell that the distance between here and here is greater than here and here. It looks like this is upright, where this hole is lower. The center wheel would be lower than the ends. But if you couldn't tell, you can measure. Quick way to measure is M, and then I can click the top line here and then click here, and it will, click the top line here and then the middle, and it should measure the distance. It shows here at 0.965 and here at 0.965, and then if I do the same here for the center hole, you can see that it is 1.035. So the center hole, which would carry the axle for the center wheel, is lower. And so when we place the other part, the other side, we want to make sure that it is not flipped upside down. Now, with a cube here, the view cube, you can click on different parts of the cube, and you can kind of give a home view, which would give you this kind of zoomed out isometric view. One thing that we need to do is get this piece constrained. This piece is upright. We can measure, if I measure from here to here, you can see that that is also 1.035. So basically the top face here should be flush with the top face here. So that's the first thing I'm going to do on this constraint. So I'm going to hit C for constraint. I'm going to hit the flush button, and then I'm going to make this face flush with this face. Notice it gives me an arrow perpendicular to the face or normal to the face. And so when I click those two faces, they are now flush with one another. And then I can hit apply. Now the next thing is I really need to rotate this piece around. One way to do that is just make this face here on that edge flush with the opposite face there. Okay. Another way to do that without having to turn the whole piece or to flip around to do the constraint is I can kind of rotate this piece independently of all the others. And sometimes that's useful. To do that, click on an individual piece, hit G, and then it will let you kind of rotate that piece around all the way around like that. Now, you might wonder, is this still going to be flush with that? It will be, and it will snap into place once I make this face flush with this. So I'm going to go constrain, flush, zoom in, get this face here on the end, flush with this face, hit apply. So now the two pieces are, if I get maybe a front view here, you can see that the two pieces are aligned with each other like this. And if I get like a side right view here, they're aligned side to side, and you can see that the holes line up. So now we want to get these the right distance apart. Now, one way to do that is just put these in place. Now if I measure this, and I've gone over this in class, but I wanted to make it clear again, if I measure the length of this, you can see that it isn't not exactly 12 inches, it's 30 thousandths shorter. And it's designed to have a small gap, basically a 15 thousandths gap between this face and this wall. And so what I'm going to do is do some constraints. I'm going to hit the C for constrain. I'm going to make this flush with this and hit apply. I'm going to rotate. A quick way to rotate is press shift and then depress the middle mouse button. Don't scroll with the middle mouse, but just depress and hold it while holding shift, and then you can rotate things around. I'm going to make this face here flush with this. And then finally, what I'm going to do is make this face here mated with this face here. However, we want a small offset or a small gap of 15 thousandths, because we're going to have a 15 thousandth gap on each side. And to view it from the top, you can see now there's a little gap between that. And so I'm going to hit apply. Next, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to go constrain, make sure it's on mate, not on flush. The default is the mate. Go here, rotate it around, click here, and go 0.015, and then hit apply. So that gap is designed in because when we machine these, and sometimes we powder coat them, if we don't have a little bit of tolerance, it's really hard to get the holes lined up on the gussets when we line everything up to rivet it together. So I'm going to place the other piece. So quickly hitting constrain, hit flush, make this flush with this, hit apply, rotate around, make this front face here flush with this, hit apply, and then I'm just going to mate this side with this side with a 15 thousandths gap. Now I don't really need to do the other side because this is now locked in place, so I don't really need to constrain a 15 thousandths gap there. It should be there. If we can hit M and measure the distance between this and this, we get that 15 thousandths. So now those are in place, and so now we can place the gussets. And to place the gussets, you can hit constrain, mate this face with this face, and then there's a couple of ways to get these into position. You could just constrain like this axis with the axis of one of the holes here, and then this would still rotate, so I'd need to do that with another one. And so that's a very acceptable way. Oop, I clicked the wrong thing. When you're doing a constraint with the axes, be careful that you're not doing this point with this point here. Okay, you need to get the cylindrical wall, select it so you get this axis, and then align it with that axis, and then hit apply. So that's one way to get the gusset in place. And another way to do that is just do a flush with the two faces, and I will show it that way. So I want to get this down, but I kind of need to rotate it around. Again, this is where hitting the G button's kind of handy, is it needs to be like where this side is down. So I'm going to hit constrain and mate this with this, hit apply. Then I can make this side flush with this side, and then I can make this side flush with this side. And if we do a top-down view, you can see that the holes line up. Now, there is a good chance that when you are designing this, when you click top, it won't give a top view. It might be some other skewed view. If you want to get that correct, what you can do is view one face, the top face, So you have this top face, and then get a view that you're happy with, position this in a nice spot, and then you go to the cube and you right click and you go set current view as top. Okay, you go set current view as top. Now I can't do that because it already is set that way, but I can, if yours is crooked, it won't be grayed out and you'll be able to click that. I'm going to stop the video here. I'll come back for another video talking about the bearings and axles, etc.